Hi, this is Eddie Hearn, and you're watching Lights Out.
Okay. This is Lights Out. I'm FAISAL Khan. Here at the press conference between Charlie Edwards and Angel Moreno. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Eddie Hearn. Eddie, he fulfilled a childhood dream. Now he's got big defence at the Copper Box Arena.
It's massive for him, and I'm so pleased that the British public have taken him the way they have. You know, it's a great story. He's a great ambassador for the sport. He works extremely hard. He looks the part. He talks the part. I know he's become a little bit of a star in the last couple of months, and now he gets a chance to headline at the Copper Box March 23rd on a big card, and he deserves it.
I know I haven't got much of your time, so I'm just going to have to make this quick and simple. What's going on with Anthony Joshua? Are the rumours true? Will he be fighting Jarrell Miller in New York in May?
That's certainly looking likely. June instead of May. Not done yet. Still talking. We're trying to look at creating something very special for British fight fans. If we make that fight just a card loaded with British fighters and Irish fighters in big World Championship fights and career-defining fights, and you know, we'll see what happens. I think if it was AJ's choice, he would box in the UK, but he wasn't able to secure the fights that he wanted here. So in that case, we may go over there and just tear up the script in America and raise his profile. I think it'd be a great fight against Jarrell Miller. He's fighting a New Yorker in New York who talks a great game, and it's going to be difficult. I
understand you offered the Anthony Joshua fight to Tyson Fury. I don't know what the deal was, but according to Frank Warren, it wasn't acceptable. You've obviously explained why Anthony Joshua gets the bigger size of the money. Why do you think Tyson Fury is not entitled to a 50-50 split in that fight?
Just because commercially he's not on the same level. He doesn't have a belt. It's a voluntary defence for Anthony Joshua. I mean, all kinds of different things. We offered Tyson Fury 60-40. So the majority of people think that's extremely generous and fair. Some think that it should be 50-50, and if he gets a belt, and if he gets to Joshua's level commercially, it probably will be 50-50, but not at the moment. So, you know, we weren't able to make that fight. We'll see how he gets on the rematch, and I believe one day, you know, this isn't about Joshua's next fight. I know fans want everything now, but this is about a legacy, and this is about 7-8 years of boxing. So you're going to see him fight Wilder, Fury, probably 3 or 4 times in his career. So
a lot of people say that we saw Tyson versus Lewis late. A lot of people say we saw Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather late. What sort of, you know, indication can you give to the fans of when the fights with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury will happen?
I think those guys are in their prime, but I think Joshua's 3 or 4 fights away from his prime. But he's prepared to fight people when he's not in his prime. He's had 22 fights. Deontay Wilder's had 41 fights. I think in his 21st fight, he boxed Jason Gavin over 8 rounds. Joshua has boxed Klitschko, Parker, Takam, Dillian White, Dominic Brazil and Alexander Povetkin in 22 fights. So he's moving at a rate of knots. Those guys, Fury, Wilder, they've still got at least a year, probably 2 years in their prime. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. You know, we're not looking for Joshua to get to 40 to fight these guys. But you know, it is a business. We have to deal with many different characters and many different individuals on both sides, and it has to make sense for everybody. Joshua's never stopped a fight from happening in the past, but you know, like you say, well, or someone might say, why don't you just give him 50-50? Why don't you say to Tyson Fury, why don't you just take 40%? If you believe you can win, you are going to become the biggest star in the sport and have 4 world heavyweight titles. You know, this is a man who says it's not about the money in Tyson Fury. This is a guy who apparently gave all his money away to charity for his last purse. That no one's seen ever. So, you know, you hear a lot of stuff and people will believe what they want to believe, but ultimately it has to make sense for both sides. I'm not saying that Fury should just accept the deal. It's got to make sense for him in his mind, and the same works for Anthony Joshua.
Lots of rumours about April 20th, a big show at the O2 Arena, a heavyweight sensation night. You've got Lucas Brown potentially taking on Dave Allen. There's talks of Chisora Parker. Has there been any sort of, like, you know, steps forward with Dillian White's next opponent? I'm hearing there's potentially Brazil, there's Ortiz, and, you know, maybe even Povetkin.
Yeah, April 20 is the night. We will have a big show at the O2. And you know, those 3 names are the 3 names that we're considering for Dillian. We're talking about Chisora Parker, Allen against Brown. He's done. We want a big heavyweight night that night, and you know, we're working on that for the rest of this week and over the weekend.
Last but not least, has there been any, you know, have you moved forward with the whole Demetrius Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders thing? When can we expect that fight to be announced?
That'll be the fight next for both guys. Looking at May or June for that fight. just in negotiations at the moment, being America, I believe. And it's a great fight. You know, we wanted to see that fight the first time around, but obviously it wasn't possible. And now it looks like we're going to get it. I think it's a really big fight for the middleweight division and for DAZN, who are obviously ruling the roost of the heavyweight division. And the winner of that fight is going to go out and really put themselves in contention for the Canelo Jacobs winner and other big unification fights.
Eddie Hearn, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, mate.